So I'm going to take a quick minute here and I think just call out some time management because we've kind of all talked about it with our schedules and blocking off. And I think that kind of falls under the plan wisely, but maybe we can talk about some things, and we know why we're doing it from a juggler standpoint, right, with our calendars. So if anything comes up from the time management piece, because I think this is the piece that I hear from being an FST, or even conversations, Jesse, that you and I have had with different departments, that it's so hard to figure out what to do. There's so many things to do, but what's maybe urgent versus important. And then kind of, these are just a few, obviously, methods, but outside of kind of the calendar planning, is there anything that you guys would recommend maybe to your teams or individually? And I'll start with Jesse to put him on the hot spot from a time management standpoint, since he's not the most organized person in the world. But is there anything that you recommend for your teams?
So I think the first thing is, let's take a look at what you're spending time on to see if it's something that you should be spending time on. Because so we have a relatively new HR team at the different facilities, and what tends to happen is they take on things that shouldn't necessarily be their responsibilities, or the management team may say, hey, can you do this for me? And it becomes part of their habit. So understanding what they're doing, so that way I can help them eliminate kind of wasted time and help them organize around things that will add real value to the organization. And one of those things is educating employees, right? For example, if you have employees constantly coming to your office to ask you to submit time for them, for example, we have an ADP system where it's self-services. So you have to show them, hey, you go to your phone and you press this button and this is how you request time. You want to see how much time you have left, you go to your phone and you can check. So it's a lot of times it has to do with educating, and sometimes that takes a little bit of time, but in the long run, it's going to save you a lot of time. So it's understanding where you're kind of allocating and what your priorities are. Those are kind of some of the things that I talk to the team about.
Thank you. That's a good point. I'll go to Catherine this time first. Is there anything with your sales team that you can recommend or that you have recommended?
Well, I don't know that I have gotten there yet. I'm still kind of new with my team. We started working together in November, but what Jesse said just a minute ago was kind of an aha moment for me, because I definitely have started trying to, I'm trying to think of the phrase. It's like, you can teach the man to fish and they'll fish forever. What's the expression? Somebody knows it better than I do. You're on mute, Jesse.
If you teach someone how to fish, then they can feed themselves forever, versus giving them.
Yes, that's it. Right. So I definitely coming into this role with the team I have now. I think, and even when I started working in management to begin with, I think I fell under the, well, let me fish for you mentality versus teaching them to fish, because I wanted to help, right? That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to help. So I definitely noticed myself falling into that. I'll call it a trap, because it was a time trap, because I don't have an unlimited amount of time to do the fishing for them. So I recognize that, and I have made a conscious effort to teach them to fish, right? Help people help themselves versus me getting in the weeds with every single situation, because it's just not sustainable with 12 people long term.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have enough on your plate as it is, and then trying to jump in and do somebody else's job. But as in the FST role, we always, of course we want to help, but if maybe that same person's come to you right for the third time, you kind of have to let them try to figure it out, right? Because if they can find the answer themselves or find a solution to the problem, it's going to speed things up in the Justine, is there anything to add? I know that I've covered a lot.
Completely aligned with everything you guys said. I would just add, I think here a lot of this comes back to communication with your team, with your boss. There are times when I have a number one priority from Mike Derry, Mike Bono, Erica Jurens, and they're all really super important. But I'm only one person, right? So I will all the time loop them all in to say, hey, we got these 3 company priorities going on. Help me from a timing standpoint, understand what we should do first. And everyone is always all hands on deck to work together. And it's not just their priority is the number one thing. So I think people often misinterpret like, oh gosh, like I'm just going to have to work till 3 a.m. in the morning to do all 3. And so obviously affecting time management. Or I think also what's important is to communicate, hey, I have this request. I'm just letting you know it's going to take me probably about, 3 whole days to get this done. And someone may then say, oh gosh, like I definitely don't want you to spend that much time on it. What if we just do this? I think that it just always comes back to communication.
Yeah, if I could just add one thing, like just to piggyback off of what Justine's saying, I think, and maybe not that exact scenario, but sometimes it might be a priority to someone else, but it's not necessarily like an organizational priority. So I think that, when you look at the matrix that Jamie has here, it's not urgent, not important. I think it's helpful for us to be able to like have that conversation, and then hopefully 2 parties will align that, okay, maybe that's not a priority. Maybe it can wait another couple weeks or so.
Absolutely.